Hey everybody, so in this video I'm going to talk about Starseeds, and I'm going to talk about this article that I found in a Google search which came up on the first page, one of the first, possibly the first ranking, or let's say listing on Google for Starseeds, and it's from a publication called theconversation.com, which I think is an internet publication and may have a physical publication as well. And it's called Starseeds, Psychologists on Why Some People Think They're Aliens Living on Earth. And I'm going to talk about this from my own perspective because I am a Starseed, and you may be a Starseed too. As you're watching this, you may be interested in Starseeds. You may feel like you're a Starseed. You may identify with that. You may be just curious about what Starseeds are and be dissuaded by this article, because this article basically deconstructs from a psychology, kind of clinical psychology perspective, the Starseeds phenomenon. And so I want to give my perspective. So this article is written by Ken Drinkwater, who's a senior lecturer and researcher in cognitive and parapsychology at Manchester Metropolitan University, as well as Andrew Denovan, who's a senior lecturer in psychology, University of Huddersfield, and Neil Dagnall, who's a reader in applied cognitive psychology, Manchester Metropolitan University. Okay. So here we go. My name's Jody Dean, by the way, and I'm a spiritual coach. I'm a purpose alignment mentor, and I help spiritual seekers and emerging love leaders step into their mastery, their bravery, and embody their soul purpose and find authentic self-expression whilst navigating the spiritual awakening journey. Okay, so let's go. Here we go. So there's a new people on Earth, a new group of people on Earth who believe they're aliens. Star people, or starseeds, are individuals who believe they have come to Earth from other dimensions to help heal the planet and guide humanity into the golden age, in inverted commas, a period of great happiness, prosperity, and achievement. It might sound a little crazy, but an internet search for the term brings up over 4 million results. And there are scores of people posting videos on TikTok. And by the way, the hashtag Starseed on TikTok has over 1 billion views. That's my, parenthesis. Instagram and Facebook, who believe they originate from another world. Indeed, content with the terms hashtag Starseed has over 1 billion views on TikTok. Okay, I didn't remember that actually states that in the beginning of the article. Okay. Unlike Earth souls, in inverted commas, who are said to reincarnate on Earth, Starseeds believe they have reawakened from another planet to be born here. Ooh. Starseeds believe they are conduits between divine realms and the Earth, and that they can transport between galaxies via meditation. Interesting. Starseeds also believe they can communicate in inverted commas, light language, a form of communication that is said to bypass human limitations and be the language of the soul. Interesting. I would refute that in the sense that not all starseeds believe they can communicate in light language, that's for sure. And for me, personally, light language is something that I delved into maybe 3 or 4 years ago and had a kind of consciousness activation around, and started to speak or share light language myself as a kind of healing modality. And I've led a couple of workshops in that in person when I was in Egypt. And I found it to be a very powerful experience. So, to continue, the idea is widely credited to the author Brad Steiger, who wrote prolifically about the unknown and was keenly interested in alien life and extraterrestrials. In his 1976 book, Gods of Aquarius, Steiger introduced his notion that some people originate from other dimensions. Believers claim there are several ways to tell if you are a starseed. These include searching for meaning in life and feeling a lack of belonging. Being spiritual, and possessing a strong sense of intuition are also qualities of a starseed, which I concur with, in fact. However, they are also said to be empathetic, sensitive, and have more physical and mental issues as their souls aren't used to having a human body. Tell me about it. Starseeds want to help humanity, but they get overwhelmed by life on Earth and so recharge by spending time alone. This is definitely my experience, but not every Starseed's experience, I would say. Believers also say that Starseeds have the desire to explore and experience new cultures and spheres, which help star people to then provide novel insights into existence. Examples include new conspiracy theories about society, holistic health interventions, along with thoughts on ancient aliens and civilizations. So it's coming from a kind of academic perspective, a clinical psychological perspective, as a kind of like, this is a phenomena and we're looking at it from this perspective inside our academic psychology box. The subheading now is Choose Your Reality. You might experience some aspects of yourself in the above description. Many people, for example, report searching for meaning in life along with feeling displaced or like they don't belong at times. Indeed, research shows that a low sense of belonging is often linked to depression. But what makes some people who are experiencing such feelings jump to the conclusion that they must be from another planet? ? Particularly given that no life beyond Earth has ever been found and there is no evidence that alien life has ever visited Earth. Well, I strongly refute that claim. Actually, just from my own perspective, I've had experiences of UFOs. I've seen them with my own eyes many a time, and not close up like, oh my God, that is a flying saucer. Look, there are the porthole windows. Look, there are beings inside. No, but more from a distance. Lights, colored lights, that kind of thing in the sky dancing around, moving in ways that cannot be explained by the laws, the so-called laws of physics, and which also came with a kind of consciousness experience of contact, telepathic communication with the whatever this light phenomena is. So anyway, I digress. Welcome to the Forer effect. Named after Bertram Forer, the psychologist who first figured out that it was pretty easy to get people to agree with vague descriptions about themselves, see horoscopes. Then there is a YouTube thumbnail video linked, which you could watch in the article, which is from a woman with the channel called The Alchemist, and it says the title is "Are You a Starseed? Starseeds Explained." Okay, and then underneath that video, the concept of starseeds is a form of New Age belief. The term refers to alternative spiritual practices that developed during the 1970s. Although each New Age belief is different, philosophies share common features. They view existence in terms of the universe and focus on spirituality as well as the self. Think crystals, energy healing, and psychic abilities. That seems a bit like it is with the kind of lexicon and the syntax like it might be written by ChatGPT. Okay, anyway, just a thought, an observation, a reflection. Other features include reincarnation, karma, and the possibility of reaching a higher level of consciousness. Support for New Age beliefs, such as Starseeds, is on the rise. It comes from a distrust of science and doubts about conventional perceptions of reality. Well, what do you know? Particularly cynicism about modern society and attempt to find meaning in life. Okay, next subheading is fantasy versus fiction. Certain personality characteristics may also incline some people to believe in the notion of starseeds. For instance, if you are fantasy prone and often confuse imaginary and real events, you may see the theory of alien consciousness as profound and desirable. In psychological terms, this is known as source monitoring error, which is a type of unconscious memory error whereby a person gets confused between what's real and accurate and what's unreal and imagined. I mean, it all seems very kind of common sense here, and yeah, more or less, if you didn't know or didn't have the experience of being a starseed, you might think, well, this is, yes, very helpful and believable, credible kind of explanation. I go on. It's commonly seen in schizophrenia, and research has found links between schizotypal personality disorder, a common disorder considered to be a mild form of schizophrenia, and belief in conspiracy theories. And there is a kind of artistic rendition, which is apparently a stock photo of a kind of a head with stars and kind of more of a kind of galactic feel, kind of like aura around the head or a halo, and a little bit expressionistic in its style, like the person is kind of confused. The expression is a bit of a confused, suffering expression. The caption says, Starseeds claim they are alien consciousness living on Earth. A further effect that can encourage such beliefs is what's known as ontological confusion. Oh my God! This occurs when people cannot discriminate between metaphorical and factual statements such as, old furniture knows things about the past, in inverted commas. These may be interpreted more literally than metaphorically, and so make it more likely that people then endorse pseudoscientific transcendental theories. Okay, we're getting to the end of the article now. This is especially true when the source of the information is perceived to be trustworthy and knowledgeable. Aha! Dubbed the Einstein effect, this is what trusted sources of information are given more credence. This is where trusted sources of information are given more credence because of the social credibility they possess. It goes on to say, in the case of Starseeds, several books published by big publishing houses may provide a sense of authenticity, and so too does the fact that a number of them are bestsellers. Indeed, it seems life as we know it may not be as straightforward as we once imagined. And that is literally the end of the article. So, that's the article. And there are 78 comments. And I'm just reading the comments. I hadn't seen them before. It seems that there are a number of opinions expressed in the comments. Most of them seem to be from rationally minded people who are in the academic sphere, thinking inside that box. So, yeah, there's a lot of them, and I haven't read them, and I won't bore you with the comments right now, reading them out. But I shall instead give my own commentary, and share that, which is that if I hadn't had my own personal experiences of starseed consciousness, of remembrances, memories come to me, and very, very visceral experiences under hypnosis, and also through breath work, where I literally traveled to the Sirius star system in an instant. So actually there was no travel involved. It was suddenly I was in the Sirius star system meeting with beings. This is not under some kind of drug or in a psychedelic experience or anything else. This is purely a spontaneous event that happened whilst breathing underwater through a tube, a snorkel tube, during a training, a breathwork training. I wouldn't be able to speak so much to this subject. However, I have had multiple experiences, and as my multidimensional gifts have opened up more, and as I've gone further in my spiritual awakening journey, as I've had openings and activations, what they're talking about here in terms of the beliefs and the experiences have been corroborated by my own experience. And so I'm looking at this from the perspective of an experiencer, and looking at the kind of I would describe it as the perceptions of those who haven't had these experiences. And I can see that, yes, from a perspective, a psychological perspective, especially a clinical psychological perspective, you would see this phenomena one would see this phenomena as pathological, perhaps, as a mental health issue. And it's quite a narrow-minded perception, because life is so much more complex and nuanced. Okay. I think it's a fairly good stab at looking at the phenomena from a clinical psychological perspective. However, it does not take into account bodies of knowledge such as the books that have been published and the experiences of millions and millions of people who have had starseed awakenings spontaneously. So you might be given to believe that all these experiences that people have, which would get labeled as a mental disease, schizotypal, etc., are unconnected, and that this is all hallucination and deep psychological problems. However, when one takes into account that many of these starseed experiences are completely spontaneous, and that's been my experience, the spontaneous happening, of awareness, memory, recall, of being a starseed, of understanding things, life, on a much more galactic level, interdimensional level as well, then yes, I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit incoherent here because I'm kind of trying to piece together thoughts. So you take all these little points of data, like this person thinks they're from another planet, for example, an alien in a physical body, but an alien soul, let's say, is a physical body. But then also there are millions of other people who believe that because of their own experiences. Then you can start to see, well, perhaps there is actually something to this, that there is actually something going on here, rather than all these people are just having hallucinations and psychological breakdowns and flipping into kind of schizophrenic conditions. So it is understandable that an article like this has been written, because they are speaking to a phenomena that is worldwide. And I have met all kinds of different people from all walks of life, from all different ethnicities, from all different countries, who've had starseed awakenings. And so you have to kind of ask, well, what's going on? What is going on here, Jody? Is there something to this? Is it perhaps more real than the academic psychology fraternity or people understand? That perhaps there's more to reality than is thought. And I have actually studied sociology and psychology. Psychology, health psychology, I studied that at undergraduate level. So I do understand these perspectives. And without the reference points of one's own personal experience, it's very difficult to imagine that this could be something that's actually more real than the perceived to be real, the consensus reality that we as humans, let's say in Western civilization, so-called civilization, have been accustomed to and are perhaps conditioned to go along with in part of our in our sort of socialization process. Now, you will find, if you look, there are videos of parents talking to children and children saying, yes, I have this friend and he's an extraterrestrial, or she's from Arcturus and she's telling me about these things, and I remember that, I am this person's brother or sister before my incarnation, and that kind of thing. And so then, okay, well, you could write that off as, the child is being fantastical, or the child is being influenced by the parents' reality or belief systems. But what if that isn't the case? What if these are real, raw experiences and memories? And in my case, I have real, raw experiences and real memories. And I know scores of people who also have real, raw experiences and memories of being starseeds and understanding that they are a soul from a cosmic origin who is incarnate in the 3D, in a sort of avatar kind of existence where we take on this body as an avatar, like the film Avatar, and we interact therefore in the 3D in this experience, and that consciousness is multi-layered, and that this is people's experience. And if we pathologize it, then what does that say about us? Now, of course, if someone is not functioning at all, then there is a problem. But my experience is all the starseeds I know are highly functioning. They may not be able to totally fit into society because of being a starseed. And I believe that humanity is having this great awakening, this consciousness awakening, and that this is to do with many dynamics. For example, the passage of the planet, the Earth, through as part of the solar system, through the galaxy, and the waves of energy which are affecting our consciousness, and that we are in this ascension cycle, let's say, this great wake up as humanity begins to remember who we really are, what we really are, and that we no longer need religion to explain things, and that perhaps that is a limiting belief, perhaps a control mechanism of our consciousness, and that in fact the universe is teeming with life, with intelligence, and that there is a creator, and that we are perhaps individuations of the creator. That's definitely my experience. The creator not being a male principle, but being the eternal itself, the timeless, the consciousness, the source consciousness is what I call it itself. And so I posit that to you as the person receiving this information, and that you are, of course, you are invited, of course, to make up your own mind and think for yourself. And perhaps you have your own experiences and inklings and memories and rememberings about humanity, about yourself, about your life, about who you really are, and about what is happening on the planet with this kind of explosion of consciousness. You know, look at yoga, for example. It's a good reference point, how it is just mushroomed. And, you know, the question is, are you practicing yoga? You know, and if you're not, why not, right? That kind of level of conversation. It's so popular. This kind of body, mind, spirit alignment. And also working with the Kundalini, right? Which is another huge mushrooming phenomenon that is happening, this kind of Kundalini activation. I'm in Bali here, and there are multiple Kundalini activation trainings happening, and people fly in from all over the world to have their Kundalini activated and train in activation to then help activate others. I have friends who've been doing this and have gone back to home country to share this. And that's a whole rabbit hole in itself. There are some who are kind of against the Kundalini activation process and all of that, because it's a new phenomenon, whereas yoga's been going for thousands and thousands of years, and actually perhaps, you know, Tai Chi, Qigong and all of that, they are actually a more grounded way of spiritual work and activating Kundalini. So, but that's another conversation. Back to Starseeds. If you feel that you are a Starseed, if you have memory, I would love to know. Please share in the comments. If you have a knowing and awareness within you. I've made other videos about this. I made one last week about Starseeds, and I've got quite a few shorts out there as well. And I will make more. But yeah, so if you want to check that video out, maybe I'll have it linked here. Have a look. And there are other videos, obviously, that you can watch from other people as well. I was 18 when I did a Starseed meditation, and I had this name come to me of this place that I'm from as a starseed, and I had no idea about the constellations and anything, and never heard of it. I mean, the internet really wasn't a thing back then. And yeah, turns out this name of this place, Lyra, is a real place and a real constellation, and actually a lot of people are Lyran starseeds. And it's actually kind of fundamental and intrinsic to the birth of humanity, that human beings are highly influenced by Lyra, and that the human being template of being a human has come through Lyra, that the Lyrans may have actually seeded the planet with the human race, also with originally, but also with help from other races, other star families, the Sirians, Pleiadians, etc. And of course, then there's the nefarious agenda and the nefarious influence of kind of like negatively aligned ETs, the Anunnaki, etc. And dare I mention other beings like the reptilians, and they're not all bad, of course, but that influence has been on the planet. And just look at the heads of the pharaohs, like Akhenaten, etc. They have a completely different head shape to normal humans. So, and there are actually mummies in Egypt that are on display in museums where you can see this elongated head. And the skull size is much larger than a human head. So even you can't explain that by, the skull being bound when the person is a child, because you're not going to get an increased size and capacity. You're just going to get a different shape of head. So what's going on there, guys? What's going on there? Is that ET genetics? And I believe that is. And this is also one of the things that we're experiencing, is this kind of disclosure and revelation of information, revelation of the truth of the Earth, and also that our DNA as human beings has been tinkered with multiple times, and there's influence from different groups, different races, star races, etc. And yes, and perhaps there is a race, or there are races, let's say, who have been influencing humanity in a controlling, negative way, that don't want you to know this information, right? They don't want you to believe and think that they're there, right? Because like a parasite doesn't want you to know that it's there, because otherwise, if you know that the parasite is there, then the game is up. You want to get rid of the parasite. You take the anti-parasitic drugs, right? So, if something is kind of controlling you and using you and feeding you, well, you want to know, feeding off you, you want to know about it and get rid of it, right? Because you want to be free and sovereign. And so that, again, that's another rabbit hole, and that's another conversation for another time, of course. I didn't expect to go into this here, but here we are. I think it's an important conversation in general about extraterrestrial life. There is disclosure. Actually, the US government has already kind of disclosed that there's ET life. It's already happened. It's just not being massively covered in the mainstream media. And, who controls the mainstream media? You got to ask that question, right? So the invitation here is to think for yourself, to do your own research, to have your own experience, to look within, to listen to that still small voice within, to check it out for yourself. Don't take my word for it, right? And if you would like to know more about starseeds, and if you would like to know if you're a starseed, then there are ways to do that. There are ways to find out, meditations you can do. You can also have a chat with me, book a call with me, and we can have a little session, and I can tune into my own guidance around it. And I do get guidance about things like that, and I can share that with you. So that feels aligned and resonant, then yeah, go ahead, be my guest. And there are also many books to read about it. I say think for yourself. You don't need these clinical psychologists to do your thinking for you. And psychology has a massive place. And it's a wonderful thing. Obviously, the knowledge of the mind is basically what it means. And we need psychology, of course. And I do love psychology, especially the more kind of transpersonal and Jungian psychology has great value to understand ourselves in a deeper way, and the archetypes and everything else. So, with that being said, I hope this has been a helpful video for you. I also help people with their purpose and their soul mission, and I have a container coming up as well where we're really dialing in on your soul mission and your purpose in this life and really figuring that out. And I have a gift in helping you do that. So that's a lot of fun for me. And then also help you write books as well. So if you're interested in writing a transformational book that could impact others, then that's also a program I have. The link should be in the comments. I have this program called Writing from Spirit, and I'm also launching another one called a Mastermind as well, which is really just for kind of those of us who are really wanting to step up on our path as light leaders, as heart-centered, conscious leaders, to, yes, be midwives for the new earth. And this whole kind of sovereign, galactic, source-connected way of living and understanding things on a much broader, much grander level, because we need it. The old ways of doing things are no longer serving us. We need a bigger understanding, and the way to find it is within. That's my experience. And so I'm all about that. I'm all about serving you in that capacity to help you understand things, what's going on the planet, the great shifts that are happening. God, look at AI, right? What's happening with AI? It's just a seismic shift in the whole of civilization and culture. People have really, I believe, no idea, what's happening and what's going to happen. It's speeding up, right? This kind of exponentiality, the singularity, and all of that. And so we really need the inner work to do the inner work and develop our own intuition and understanding so that we are able to be empowered and live in our own truth and ultimately fulfilled, and also have impact in the world and help others who are trying to desperately navigate these incredible shifts that are happening and understand things, because there's a lot of fear and uncertainty and grief as well, because we're in this place of this kind of revelation energy where everything is revealed. And I'm not a born again Christian or evangelist or anything like that. What I'm talking about is that with this amplification of our consciousness, then we see more, and then everything is revealed in this way that we see both the light and the dark is really being revealed. And that's what's happening, right? There's this, like, the veil is coming down, the masks are coming off, and we're really seeing what's really been going on this planet for so long, and how it's broken and toxic, and humanity has been asleep and kept asleep. And so this is the awakening, right? It's like this taking our power back and really understanding who we are and what we are, and the immense, infinite power that resides within us, and the infinite potential that resides within you and me and everyone else. So, and it's the way of the heart. It's the way of the heart. It's the way of love. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jody Dean. And yes, for more info and everything that I'm offering, just have a look in the description, the caption, in the links. And please check out my other videos about spiritual awakening, about Starseeds, about consciousness, about love leadership, and authentic self-expression. All right, blessings. Thank you so much. You're amazing. You are unique. You are unique. And you have gifts to share with others, and let's get on with it. You don't have to figure it out all on your own, right? You don't have to, right? You're not alone. So say hello, reach out and share. And your sharing in the comments may inspire and motivate others to also share and speak your truth, right? So anyway, blessings. I wish the clinical psychologists the best, and I understand, and my perspective is, you are coming from inside a box and I'm coming from outside the box, and that's totally fine. And you may not have had these internal experiences, and so your perspective is understandable from this kind of limited academic realm, and this sort of science realm, which unfortunately is blinkered for multiple reasons. But the scientific method is a wonderful thing in itself, and has given us so much in terms of understanding and technology and everything else. However, it is also a cult, and it is a programming as well. And so the invitation is to step out of that. And, I speak both ontologically and philosophically. And there are books written about Scientism and how this all works. Thomas Kuhn is one writer that I can say go check out. I heard one wise man once say that science progresses with funerals. It seems to be the case. So anyway, blessings on your path wherever you are. And do check out the other videos. And of course, if it resonates, do subscribe to the channel. And blessings to you. I love you. And bye for now. In my eyes you are a wonder, I confess. You rise every day, forgetting who you